Warning, the following video contains strong language which may be offensive to some viewers and or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Welcome to Everything Yet Nothing. Here's a hillbilly in eyeshadow who's looking fabulous and talking about anything yet something. Get ready to chew on a blade of sweet grass and talk about a variety of LGBTQ topics to the lifestyle of a gay hillbilly. Watch out, folks. These hills don't just got eyes. They got themselves a vodcast. Now, here's T-Roy.
Oh, I did it again, everybody. Well, you know the drill. Anyways, welcome to T-Roy, Everything Yet Nothing. And my guest today, and my co-host, is Mr. JoJo.
Hello!
And if you know him, his name is Josiah. But we call him JoJo. I call him Hooker. But but we're gonna be talking about JoJo because he's been on once before, but we didn't get to him. So we're bringing him on tonight, and he's gonna tell us who he is, where he comes from, what he's about, and so shoot.
All right, so I'm 32 years old. I was originally born in Ashland, Ohio. We moved to the Branson area when I was about 3 years old, shortly after my biological father passed away. Growing up was kind of difficult being, my mom was a single mom, so unfortunately she wasn't as home as she would have liked to have been. She made some mistakes in life, but at the end of the day, she did what she had to do to make sure that we were taken care of. So growing up in a small town outside of Branson, a little town called Hollister, was kind of different. But at the same time, I feel like it made me the good-hearted person that I like to at least think I am today. I was always in school. Always in church every time the doors were open. I grew up Southern Baptist and then went into the Pentecostal movement and then ended in non-denominational. I graduated high school in 2008. I went off to minister school, and that minister school ended up being a cult, so that's something we could dive into later as well. I graduated from there and then became a children's pastor and a youth pastor, and I was a children's pastor and a youth pastor for right about 2.5 years. And then I moved to Oklahoma, helped some near and dear friends start a church. Shortly after that church started, I came back to Missouri. I didn't come out of the closet as a gay man until I was 27 years old. I knew from a very young age, probably about 4 or 5 years old, that there was something different about me, and I wasn't attracted to little girls. But as I got older, growing in the church, it was frowned upon. If you're gay, you're going to hell. You have to be a certain way and think a certain way. So when I went to ministry school, I thought that, that's exactly what I was supposed to do, that I was supposed to go to ministry school, be a minister, get married to a woman, have some children. And I knew all along, that I was gay, and you can't ever change who you are. The only thing you can be is be your true authentic self.
Yes.
I was 27 years old when I did finally have the courage to kick open that closet door, and I tell people all the time that I, kicked open that closet door for a reason, and nobody's going to put me back in that closet.
No.
So I came out at 27 years old. When I came out, the church that I was serving in told me that I was no longer able to serve in their church because there wasn't a place for a homosexual man there. Unfortunately, in the Branson area, it's getting a little bit better as far as that goes. But Branson is kind of, set in its ways a little bit as far as how they feel about homosexuals and anybody who is basically not a straight white conservative male. So, unfortunately, as far as Branson as a whole goes, that's kind of something that I see on a daily basis, and I know T. Roy sees, on a daily basis, is, it's not everybody. There's good people here.
There is.
There's good people here that love and accept you no matter who you are, the color of your skin, or your sexual preference.
Right.
But also, at the end of the day, deep down, there's still a large population of people that would rather not have us here.
Right.
And every day on, social media, there's something else that pops up. And I'm the type of person that, I'm not afraid to say what's on my mind. T-Roy knows this. I will say what I feel like I need to say. Sometimes it does get me into trouble, not very often, because usually I tell people that, I'm right. More times than not, the things that come out of my mouth are right because of the fact that I think before I say them. I don't just, flippantly say things.
Yeah.
So I came out at 27. I worked for a company called Branson After Hours, and they promoted Branson Nightlife. That company no longer exists because it was run by...
not so good of a person.
Yeah. So working through that, I built a lot of friendships, not only with, the girls that I worked with, but also different establishments in Branson. And people refer to me jokingly as a Branson Celebrity, and it's because I can't go to Walmart without seeing, at least 10 people that I know. But that's just the type of person I am. I don't know a stranger. And if I know you and I like you, I love you and your family. And that's kind of where like T-Roy and his husband Kevin and I kind of crossed paths at karaoke, and they've become my family, And family's not always blood. Family is a lot of times, at least in my life, the people that you collect along the way. And I have a family, and I love them, but I also have, a second family, and it's filled with numerous people that I've just kind of collected along the way. So working for Branson After Hours, a lot of connections, a lot of networking, and through Branson After Hours, HBO actually called us, and they started a reality, not really a reality show, like more like a docu-series, called We're Here. And I've always been a fan of RuPaul's Drag Race, obviously as a gay man, you love some drag. So Eureka O'Hara, which is literally fell in love with her the moment she walked into the RuPaul's Drag Race studio. Like, literally, as soon as she stepped foot in that workroom, I was in love. Like, she's a big girl, and I've always, like, I'm a big girl myself, 6'7". But she, I've always had, like, a special bond with her. And then I love Shangela, and I love Bob the Drag Queen. And I didn't really know what was going on, but 6+ months, so probably May of 2019, I get a phone call from this guy who's telling me that his name is Jay and he's with HBO. And I'm like, no, like, this is a scam. Like, this isn't real, And so then he started mentioning my best friend Sarah and, her family. And I'm just like, okay, so obviously you've had to have talked to them if they sent you my direction. And he's like, I just want to talk to you. Like, HBO is starting this show, and it's about LGBTQ plus community members in small towns and what it's like to grow up in a small town. And so we talked about that a little bit, and I just explained to him where, I come from, and that there's good people here, but there's also the people that are set in their ways. And he started to ask me, like, what have you experienced? What's the worst thing that has happened to you as far as people mistreating you. And I was talking to him about the church and how they told me there wasn't a place there for a gay man. And then I told him there was a time where I was actually on my way to karaoke, and they there was these big dually trucks, and they had their flags, their rebel flags, their, who they decided they wanted to vote for, their presidency. I don't really like to talk about politics, so that's not really something that I like to get into. But they literally ran me off the road, and then chased me into the parking lot and told me there wasn't a place in this community for me. And at that point, I was 29, almost 30 years old. Like, I've literally grown up here for, all but 3 years of my life. Like, this is my home. Like, this is, where I, tell people I'm from. And this is really where I developed as a man, and who I became, where I became a man, and all of that. So to hear that, it was rough to hear. Like, I was upset, I was emotional. Like, I'm like, I literally, every day of my life, I feel like it's a fight, to get people to accept anyone from any walk of life. But at the end of the day, like, that's a fight that we have to fight. We can't just sit down. No. I tell people I won't give up, let up, or shut up. Yep. Because this is who I am. This is who I am through and through. When, I may be white, but I'm a gay man. When last year, when the Black Lives Matter protests were going on, I stand with the right side of things. And what I mean by that is I stand with anybody who feels like they've been wronged or they're unjust. Right. And, people have jokingly called me the Harvey Milk of Branson, because I don't know the word for it. Tenacious, is that? Yeah. Like, I will go to the extreme to make sure that anybody feels like they're accepted. We go to karaoke, and a lot of times we have like 6 tables pushed together with people we know and we love, but also like people that we've collected at the bar. We're like, hey, come sit with us. Yeah. Like, because we don't ever want anyone to feel like they aren't accepted. Felt in our lives and how we've been turned away and everything.
So we have some listeners. Hi, Chanel. Love you, girl. Hi, Kevin. Love you, too.
Hi, Kevin. Love you.
Kevin says, looking good, boy. Chanel says, I love you, fabulous baby boy, T-Roy and Kevin. Love you, Chanel and Fletchers. Kevin says, Chanel. Hello, JoJo, and welcome back. Jason, hey, T-Roy and JoJo. Kevin, you busted right open, huh, JoJo? Chanel says, Milwaukee is a great place to find a church if you are looking to minister. Cool. Nice to know, Chanel. Kevin says, family is what you make of it, and you're our brother. Absolutely.
Yes, 100%.
And that show that he was talking about is We're Here, and it's on HBO. Is that Tony Price that he's on, or like Netflix or Google?
No, it's so the only place to get it is HBO Max if you don't have regular cable. But they are coming out with a second season at the beginning of October, so we're real excited for that.
Heck, awesome. And yeah, Chanel, Kevin, I'll text you. So yes, Kevin's not here tonight, and it's unfortunate, but he is dealing with something right now that's pretty important, and so he will be back on next week. That's why I have JoJo here as my co-host, and yes, we love you, Kevin, and can't wait to have you back. So whenever I say, is there anything else you want to talk about? Like, no. Okay, so whenever you was growing up, was there any sorts of like abuse of any kind that maybe you went through that you wouldn't mind sharing with other people to maybe let them know that they're not alone.
Yes. So, I'm gonna try and smile through this, but there's some things that I might not smile. So just know that it's things that I've dealt with, but there's still things that not necessarily mess with me, but maybe I won't smile when I talk about it or something like that. So I was probably 7 or 8 years old. My family. So let me backtrack. At 6 years old, I lived with my mom, who was a single mother. My sister was my main caretaker. Still to this day, my favorite person in the whole entire world. And it was most times me and her against the world. A lot of people I know in the gay community get that. Like, you usually have a sibling or you have a parent that you cling to.
Yes.
So she was pretty much my safety blanket. Like I said, my mom was a single mom. She worked all the time. She'd come home late. But at 6 years old, I woke up and came out to the kitchen to eat, and a man that I didn't know. I had no idea who he was. Little did I know that a year later he would become my stepdad and the only father figure that I've ever had. And I say that to, kind of segue into why we moved to Arkansas. We moved to Arkansas because that's where his family's from. And while we were living in Arkansas, my parents had a friend. His name was Mikey. We grew up knowing him as Uncle Mikey, and he would sneak into our rooms at night, and I didn't realize that it was happening to my two brothers that we had lived with at the time. I didn't realize that it was happening to all three of us. I thought that it was just happening to me. And he would come in my room and he would touch me in the middle of the night. And then when he would hear some sort of commotion, he would go running out of the room like nothing had happened. And this probably went on for a year and a half, because I was afraid that if I went and I told my mother that this was happening, that something bad was going to happen. And I think at 8 years old, there's kind of that gray area where you don't really know what's right from wrong. And your vision of love is completely distorted. And so that's something that I kind of worked through. Well, then we moved out of that house into another town that was in the Valley Springs, Arkansas area. Then we moved to Green Forest, Arkansas. And the second house that we lived in Green Forest, Arkansas, my older brother started to touch me and do things like that as well. Him and I shared a room. Again, like, I went back into that shutdown mode, and I didn't really understand what was going on.
Right.
The only thing I knew is that was my older brother.
Right.
He was supposed to protect me, and he was supposed to be the one to, take care of, the darkness, essentially.
Exactly, yeah.
And I didn't understand why it was happening, and then come to find out years later, when we started to talk about it and we started to not be so quiet about the things that had happened to us, came to realize that as a result of Mikey touching all three of us is an exact result of why my older brother was doing the same to me.
Right. And he probably didn't even know any different because, when that stuff happens to me, it happened to me at a young age. And I had no idea.
Yeah.
I thought it was normal. I thought, that's what's supposed to happen because it was happening within my family. But yeah, I totally feel you because it sucks whenever you're that young because you can't defend yourself. And like you said, it's hard to tell anybody because you don't want it to blow up, and or you don't want to be turned away.
Yeah.
And ignored because I waited until I was 18 to tell anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody. Well, I told a couple people, but my mom was my first person to really come out and say, "Hey,
Yeah.
this happened to me," and da 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 da. But it does not define who I am.
Right.
I am and have always been and will always be born the way I am today. Did stuff impact my life as a child? Absolutely. It absolutely did. But it woke me up to realize whenever I was old enough to deal with it, handle it myself, that it was wrong.
Yeah.
And I was strong enough to stand up for myself. I was strong enough to put it out there because I came to a point to where like you said, you don't hide it. When you're a certain age, it's out. Like, why are you gonna hold it inside when that's just gonna eat you up?
Yeah.
And so you want to get it out, and you want to get it out there, so those people will stop. And it's really kind of sad because some families kind of like break apart because like you said, and like I've said, certain things happen as children to us, and it's just really hard to move on, and it's really hard to put that behind us.
Yeah.
So we put ourselves into other children, other adults, other teenagers that have been through similar situations, and that we can help. You work with children every day, and that's awesome because you're like their guardian, like their angel that is watching over them, that is going to make sure that they're okay.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people say and think that just because something happens to you, like we're talking about, oh my God, you're just going to be a horrible person. You're going to do it to other people. No, honey, that is not with all of us because I will kill a bitch.
Yeah.
I will literally hang them up by their nutsack, and it's all over. Because I am not going to tolerate that stuff with anybody. You mess with my family, you mess with my friends, you're messing with me. And
100%.
so I know that you feel the same way on that because that's the only way to feel.
And like I feel the same way about children that I literally want to end you if you're going to mess with a child.
Literally.
Then I think that you deserve to be in the lowest point in jail.
Yes.
And the things that you take away from that child's never going to get back. There's years and years of counseling that child is going to have to go through if they even go to counseling.
All your life, you go to counseling. And like you said, even if maybe they don't go to counseling because, it does hurt you deeply to where you don't want to share with other people, especially the ones that you don't know. But they're there, reach out to people. There's 1-800 numbers for all kinds of abused children, sexually, mentally, verbally. It doesn't matter. If it's, abuse of any kind, it's stupid. Like, it's just a very weak thing that an individual will do to another individual. But that individual is a child. That, when something like that happens, your innocence is ripped out of your body. And that is something you don't ever get back. Like, literally, whenever I was growing up, I was shy. I was literally into myself. I didn't talk much. I was quiet, and you can look at me and, I was smiling like nothing ever happened. You just get up, take a shower, wash it all off, and go on with your day or whatever.
Yeah.
And it sucked that I had to do something like that. And I'm sure that you had a similar thing because, it's just something that a lot of people do, especially children that are messed with and teenagers that are messed with.
And it's about, like, the biggest thing that I've learned in life is it's not about what happened to you, and it's not about that trauma that you went through. It's about how you now go and flip that negative into a positive.
Exactly, and you can. Yeah. And you can. Like I said earlier, he helps other children, teenagers, and I'm the same way. If there is a child or a teenager, even an adult, that is being abused in any way whatsoever, I'm always there. Like, I'm always there to listen, and I'm always there to give my input. Whether they like it or not, oh well. But sometimes people come to you to talk to you to get an answer. And I'm always answering whatever.
And if only we could follow our own advice.
I know, right? I'm like, oh yeah, don't do this. I ain't gonna listen to it.
Yeah.
So Kevin, okay, let me go back up. We have some comments. Okay, Chanel says, JoJo, are you planning for a family of your own?
It's funny that you asked that. We actually had a conversation about that today because I have the opportunity to work with kids in an after-school program called Boys and Girls Club. And it's literally the highlight of my life. I love being that voice for a child. I'm one of the mentors in a mentoring program where we talk to kids about things like this all the time, and how they're going to turn that negative into a positive. But we were talking about that today, and one of the new ladies that has started, she's not directly my boss, but she's one of the bosses, and she was like, yeah, don't you want like 50 million of them? Because these two kids like literally came up to me and they would not stop tugging on my shirt, and I was like, okay, like, please stop touching me, go to the gym, I will bring you what you need. And she was like, don't you just want to have kids? And I'm like, yes, I do want to have kids. But obviously, I'm waiting till I find, that person that I want to spend the rest of my life with, as well as, obviously, as a gay man, I can't, give birth to a child. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way.
Are you sure? Because there's a rapper, singer that is pregnant. I'm just saying.
But the foster care system is very near and dear to my heart. I want to adopt kids over the age of 12, 12 to 18, because I feel like those kids need somebody the most.
Yeah.
Because those are the ones that nobody wants. Everybody wants a baby or a toddler or a 6-year-old out of the foster care system. But I would love to adopt some of the older kids and even some of the younger kids that nobody wants. Maybe the ones that have issues that everyone is, because a lot of people, when they look to adopt a child, look for that perfect child. I don't want the perfect children. I want the broken children. I want the ones that nobody wants, because I want to show them love. I want to show them love that they've never experienced before, and the right kind of love, And there's so many kids that are in the foster care system that, have, childhood trauma, and kids that I work with on a daily basis have had childhood trauma, and I can relate to them, and I can, help teach them how to turn that negative into a positive, because I think that's really what it's all about, is what you're going to use that childhood trauma to do in a positive way.
Yeah, absolutely. We have another comment from Kevin. I got to meet Shangela. She is my favorite. Hallelujah, 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 whatever. Hallelujah.
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 Hallelujah. No, with
Shangela's hallelujah. And he says, same with my sister. Chanel says, I'm so sorry, JoJo. Kevin says, say something, you are not alone. This is to whoever is watching. Bad things will just happen to the person that is doing it. My family, Chanel says, my family choose to ignore me, and my aunt married my abuser. Yeah, and it happens, that's what I was afraid of with mine, not that would have happened, but you never know, I mean, it's really, really hard to tell, because I grew up in a time that you didn't hear nothing about sex.
Yeah.
At all. Whether it's good, bad, it didn't matter. You did not hear about it. You did not talk about it. it was not there, and I think that's where a lot of people screwed up is, you got to tell children there are certain ways that you don't have to be vulgar, you don't have to be any certain way, except let that child know that if somebody touches their no-no spot or whatever, that's not okay, and to let somebody know. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I don't feel. And I think a lot more children need to hear that from their parents, from whomever has that child. Tell your children, it's not okay whatsoever for anybody to touch their no-no spot or whatever you want to come up with. You don't have to say anything except no-no spot. I mean, what's so hard about that?
Well, and given that you just said no spot and different ways to describe that, really, like with me, I work, working with children, we go through trauma training and we go through all these trainings, and they help me do what I do. But one thing you have to keep in mind is those kids aren't necessarily going to say the no spot, or they're not going to say my private area. Sometimes they might have a name for it that you're like, okay, well, that sounds weird. If a kid says my muffin, or probably the worst one that I've ever heard is the purple yogurt monster. So there's different things, and you kind of almost have to train yourself to listen for that stuff. And through what I do for a living working with children, I'm what they call a mandated reporter. So I'm required anytime a child says that there's any sort of abuse going on. Like, I am mandated, so legally I have to report that. So I tell people all the time, I'm not in the business of not believing children. If a child comes to me and says something's going on, the very first thing I do is I pick up that phone and I make that phone call. Because whether right or wrong, I'm not going to get in trouble for it being wrong. But that child, literally, anything could happen if I don't make that phone call.
Anything. I mean, and innocence in a child, that's precious. That, I mean, you are so lucky if you're somebody that never went through anything like that, because when it does, it really messes with you, like we've said. And we, like you said, just listen to the child, and there are certain words that they will say and certain things that they will say that they call it, and just ask that child, what are you talking about, or something, to where what they're talking about and you got that awareness going on, and do something about it. Believe in that child. It doesn't matter who you are, aunt, uncle, brother, sister, niece, nephew. It does not matter. If a child comes up to you and says, hey, this is happening to me, or this happened to me, or whatever, listen to that child, because what child is going to go out and just come up with something that is going to be horrendous as what we're talking about.
And if you're watching and you have children, or you interact with the children on a regular basis, I don't care if it's a niece or nephew, I don't care if it's your best friend's children, really listen to the things that they say and observe how they act, because if they trust you and they love you, they're going to tell you if something's going on. You may have to decipher what it is, but I urge you that if you're an adult who has an impact on a child's life, you listen to that child, and you give them that time that they need to share that with you, and don't tell them, oh, well, that probably didn't happen. You believe them to the extent that, you may look like it. Like, I tell kids all the time, I'm like, I don't care if I look like an idiot for believing what you're saying, because I literally will go that far.
And, you should. Everybody should. Especially nowadays, because, again, sex wasn't talked about, and nowadays it's all over video games and just here, there, and everywhere, and I think it's out there in the wrong way. It's out there to say it's okay. And when you're a certain age, yes, it is okay. But when you're under that age, it's not okay. It doesn't matter if you're 2 months away from being an adult. It's still some sort of abuse. It's some sort of, it doesn't matter. Just listen to other people that come to you and tell you that something's up and isn't okay. They're hurting.
And even like, and it's not just children. Unfortunately,
Yeah. It's not.
As an adult, when I went to ministry school, there was another situation, and the thing, Joni said, "You're absolutely no, sorry." Chanel said, "You are never the same." That is 100% correct. You are never the same. I was put in a situation where I, was, some of that same childhood trauma happened to me as an adult at ministry school, and I literally, like, I shut down, like my body shut down. And one of the things that people say is, "Oh, well, as an adult, you should be able to stop that. You should be able to defend yourself." But at the end of the day, you can't.
No.
Your body literally shuts down in a situation like that. And at the, it's all that trauma comes back up, and you're still dealing with that trauma.
Yep.
So it's almost like that wound is reopened.
Yeah, and
that lid is ripped off.
Like, it just happened to you.
Yeah.
It literally makes you feel like that, and it's not a great feeling to feel like that because it's just horrible. But yeah, like you said, even as an adult, if you went through some sort of abuse, sexually, mentally, physically, it doesn't matter. If you're a child and you've been through that, and you grow up and something like that happens, well, yeah, it's going to come back up. It's going to open that door again, and it's not going to be easy for you to do what needs to be done. But we just move on. We pick ourselves up, and we do something about it. Whenever we come to our senses and become strong enough to say something, do something, or whatever, that can happen. But like you said, it doesn't matter. I still go through it. Like, literally, I'll wake up one day and I will literally feel like my abusers just abused me day before, and or a nightmare that just wakes me up. I'm all sweaty and everything, and it's just like, oh my God, I just relived that. Like, are you freaking kidding me?
And there's different triggers that'll bring up different situations.
Movies, sayings, where, just all kinds of stuff that is going to be a trigger, especially a trigger for what is around you and what that person's all about. Those triggers will always more than likely still be there. We just got to be strong enough to move on and pick ourselves up, like I said, and get you a circle. You got to get a circle of friends, family. It doesn't matter who it is, as long as it's a circle of trust, a circle of friendship and love and caring. To reach out to them and say, "Hey, this just happened to me. I woke up. Can I talk to you for a second, or whatever?" That is out there. And like I said earlier, there's 1-800 numbers for abused children, abused adults, teenagers. There's all kinds of help out there. So don't be afraid to go up to somebody and say, "Hey, someone just touched me," or is doing something wrong, or anything, because it, like, verbally, like, walk up and say, "Oh my God, my dad, mom, aunt, uncle, whoever, the stranger on the street, just like literally just,
I think especially as an adult, we need to normalize conversations like this, because it's so taboo to talk about it. Like, it's just something you sweep under the rug, like it's the big dirty secret in your family. But you honestly need to normalize being able to have an adult conversation like this about it, because that's how people heal. There may be someone watching right now that has never told somebody, that somebody touched them or whatever childhood trauma they went through. It's not something they talk about because they were raised don't ask, don't tell. And at the end of the day, like, things like this, not just sexual abuse, or physical abuse, but sometimes there's emotional abuse going on in there, which causes different problems like depression. That's a whole, like, that is a whole category that you could literally talk about for hours about depression. But and it all goes back to, don't be a shit person. Like, be a kind human. You know, if somebody's going through something, you may not have walked in their shoes before, maybe you have, But I think as a human race, like the first thing we want to do is we want to judge that situation. We want to judge that person and how they feel, but you can't tell somebody how to feel or how to deal with that problem. But what you can do is you can sit there, and I like to tell people just shut your mouth and listen, because you learn so much more by just listening to people.
You really do. And when you do listen to people, you hear the stuff that not everybody else hears, or you would hear if you were like talking or not listening, kind of thing, And you really need to listen. Like we said earlier, children, it doesn't matter. Listen to whoever comes up to you. If they're hurting in any way whatsoever, take care of that person, guide them to the right people, the right surrounding, and help them. Be caring of each other. You don't have to accept who I am, but you can just deal with it. And you might as well deal with everything else that's going to happen in this world, because we ain't going nowhere. Children aren't going anywhere. We're going to grow up. They're going to grow up, and they're going to be the ones that's going to be guiding everybody else to go to wherever, like we are, and you got to like really, really be sensitive and be caring, because that goes so, so far. Like I didn't get much of that, I was just ignored as a child, and it just sucked, because I had to deal with it all on my own. And like I said, some children you look at and there's nothing going on, because I would get up every day, like literally, put a smile on my face, get dressed, walk out that door, and I walked out that door like nothing ever happened to me. Like there is nothing that is crushing me, tearing me up on the inside or anything, And I did that up until I was 18, and I wished.
It's those ones that are like, unfortunately, like the ones that are always so positive and always so happy and have a smile on their face are more times than not the ones that are hurting the most. The ones that have those dark secrets and those skeletons in their closet, because they were taught you don't talk about things like this,
Right.
And like just one thing that you have to normalize. You have to let someone know that you're there and you care about them and you genuinely want to know what's going on in their life, because that opens a whole door to finding out things that you never knew about your friends or your family, and you guys can learn to not only grow together with that, but that healing can begin to happen and it can begin to, skyrocket. So,
yes. And, it's just horrible that certain things happen. But yeah, it happens all the time, and not only that, but there are certain things that people go through as an adult that helps them overlook the little ones. They got their own shit going on. But during that shit, if you have kids, take 2 seconds, 2 minutes, to anything. Set your child down and say, hey, are you all right? Has anything been going on? Have a conversation with them. Listen to them. Like I said earlier, you can talk to a child and do it in a correct and positive way. And, get rid of that negative, because, we need to speak out. We need to be heard, and we need to do something about this shit, because I am so fed up with children being hurt, teenagers being hurt, adults being hurt, and nothing being done to the ones that's doing it. That is bullshit. Okay, we need to take care of that, and we need to change that, because it is a new day, it's a new time, and it's a new year, and it's time to stop it. And so I hope that this show is showing somebody, if this is happening to you, please, please, please reach out to somebody. If that person does not listen to you, do not stop. reach out to somebody until you do get hurt.
Yeah.
Because you have that right. Don't give up on yourself, and don't forget, don't let it just go, because it is not okay. You're going to live with it most of your life unless you take care of it, and even then sometimes you still got to live with it. But put that into a positive. Help somebody out, help somebody be a rainbow, and guide them down the right path. And let's do something about it, because it doesn't matter. Like, abuse is abuse, and it's bullshit. Like, believe me, I grew up in nothing but a lot of bullshit of abuse. My mother is being beaten just about every day. I was being raped from 8 till 12, and just other stuff too, being verbally, physically. It it happens.
Mm-hmm.
But I have really tried hard to put all of that negativity into positive and helping people, not just children, and helping people. Okay, because teenagers grow up and they're having a problem with it.
Yeah.
So they try to kill themselves. Okay, that's not okay. Reach out to somebody and save yourself, and let that other person pay for what they're doing to you. Don't take it out on yourself, because you are worth every bit of getting up every morning, taking that first breath awake, and getting out of that bed, getting dressed, and going on with your life, because you deserve that.
Yeah.
100%. It doesn't matter who you are, how you are. Nothing.
Yeah.
It does not matter. Reach out to somebody. Please listen, because this is a very big deal that we're talking about, and it's not funny, but I've wanted to do this show for a long time because of my abuse that I've endured as a child. And I've wanted to let people know, hey, I went through all this, but you can look at me today and can't really tell that none of that happened, but it did, and it does, and people go on just like I have. But that doesn't mean that I don't still live with it, because I do. But I put myself out there for a reason, and that's to make a difference, open eyes and change minds, because ain't nobody that deserves to be punished any more than an abuser of any type. Whenever I was growing up, hey, what happened behind closed doors happened behind closed doors. Who gave a shit? And believe me, a lot happened behind that closed door growing up. And I think to an extent it's still like that. And, I mean, it's opened up a little bit, but we need to open the door completely. We need to put it out there. Don't be afraid to stand up for yourself, and don't be afraid to stand up for other people. If they don't like it, they can turn around and walk away. Because, like I said, no matter who you are, we ain't going nowhere. So please, if you are thinking of hurting yourself in any way whatsoever, reach out, call somebody that call somebody you don't know, call a helpline, call hospitals, police departments. They will help guide you to the right place for you to go or talk or call or anything like that. So you just got to do it, and if you do that, then somebody that's around you is going to do that too, because they're watching you. Even if you don't know they're watching you, they watch you. And you want that child or teenager or adult to see the right way of doing it, and so they do it too.
And just always remember, if you're watching, or if you are close to someone who went through some childhood trauma or even trauma as an adult, just remember, you are not your trauma.
No.
Your trauma doesn't
Absolutely
define
not.
you. Their trauma
No,
doesn't
it
define
doesn't.
them. And remember, no matter what you've been through, you matter. You know,
you do,
you matter.
100%.
Your feelings are valid. Your thoughts are valid.
Yes.
Like, you matter. Like that.
You
I
do.
can't get over that enough. I tell those kids on a regular basis, you know, you matter. Like, kids get emotional and they're like, no one cares about me. I care about you. You matter.
Right.
You know, and even as an adult, like, you should tell people that they matter. You know, you should validate the way that they feel, because regardless of whether you did something to hurt their feelings and you don't think that their feelings should be hurt, they have the right to feel those feelings. They have the right to take whatever you said or how you treated them or what happened to them and feel the way that they want to feel about it.
Yeah. And you probably save that kid's life.
Yeah.
Like, literally. Just by listening to somebody, you're saving that person's life. Because a lot of stuff does build up.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of stuff does blow, like, literally, your head up. And then you want to just be gone because it's too much for you to handle. You handle it as a kid, and instead of going away, it just builds and it builds and it builds and it builds and it builds. Because even if it's sexual as a child, you can grow up as a teenager and go through physical and mental abuse. That is just going to add to the sexual abuse, you know, and it just builds and it builds and it builds. So, you know, really.
And that's my, you know, I honestly believe that, you know, whether you believe in a higher power or not, you know, I believe that there is a God, you know. And I know that the calling that God has put on my life is to work with children and impart to children and help them get through trauma that they may be going through, whether it be the foster care system or physical, mental, emotional, whatever it is. I know that that's my purpose, so much so that I literally, it's been 2.5 years now, but I was stressed out with work. I was stressed out with everything that was going on. And I drove to this area called the Overlook, and, you know, on the way over there, I'm like, no, I'm just going to jump. Like, I'm going to end it, because all of that childhood trauma had come to a headway, and I hadn't dealt with it. You can't just push it down, because it will come bubbling up. And the only thing that I could think of, you know, not to jump off is, no, like, God put a calling on your life, and you're supposed to help these children through this trauma, and you're supposed to be that trusted individual in their life. And that's something that plays over and over and over in my mind, because there's a reason that I'm alive today. You know, when I was in high school, you know, I attempted suicide and I tried to kill myself, and it didn't work, you know. And I'm like, you know, I've had friends who have died over the course of my life that I'm like, okay, that was a good person. Why am I still here and that person's not here? But at the end of the day, there's a purpose, you know, and I know that there's still people out there that I have to reach, you know, and I have to help, you know, that God has put in my life. So don't ever be afraid to be that support system for somebody, or be that listening ear, even if it's just they want to call you and they want to tell you everything that went on in their day. You don't ever have to respond. Like, you don't ever have to verbally say anything back to them. But more times than not, it's more important for them to just have that ear of somebody listening to them, knowing that they support them and love them.
And that helps them be strong enough to do what's right. You know, is listening to them and talking to them. You know, a lot of people just don't realize talking to someone or listening to someone could possibly be saving their life.
Yeah.
Think about that next time. If somebody comes up to you and they're trying to talk to you, you listen. You don't have to talk to them. Just listen. I had a friend call me just the other day because some stuff happened to me here recently. And, you know, it was one of my best friends, and she was like, hey, I know there's nothing that I can say that's going to help you feel any better or anything like that. And I said, you don't have to say anything. As long as I know that you're on the other side of that phone listening, that's all that I need. And the one thing is, my mother passed away last week, and, you know, I've not been taking it very lightly. But, you know, I've had that support there, so thanks everybody that has reached out to me. 100%, I really appreciate it. You have no idea what you have done. And I don't mean this in any way, but you possibly saved my life because I'm just like anybody else. And I got so much shit going on in my head right now. It's just, it gets cloudy and it tends to try to get dark. Try. Yeah. I don't let it get dark. But, you know, it's there. Yeah. No matter what it is, you know, it's there. Yeah. Because I think everybody goes through, you know, work issues and just crazy off the wall issues that just build up and add up, and eventually you just blow your rig. You know, it's like, damn, I can't have it inside. So, you know, let that shit out. You know, make yourself feel better, no matter what it is, how it is, as long as it's a positive thing and a good thing. Okay, don't hurt somebody else just because you've been hurt, or don't hurt anybody else just because you feel like hurting them, because, you know, that's just not right. You know, it doesn't take a molested individual, an abused individual, to hurt somebody else. Okay, we have a bad rap of that, and that's wrong. Yeah. Wrong whatsoever. So don't judge somebody else. You don't know what they're going through. You know, they could be dying. You don't know. Yeah. And you just treated them like shit. Or you just spit in their face. Or you just did what you did. Yeah. You know? Really? Why are you going to do that to somebody? Like, be caring. Yeah. Be understanding. Be a freaking human. Like literally, think about it. Would you want that person to do what you, the abuser, want to do to that person? Yeah. Because I really don't think you do. I think that it's just something to hide behind. Right. And you put it there to hide behind it because of the shit that you've went through. Yeah. You know, and that's not right. Okay, you can do that in another way, and you can do it by not doing it to anybody else. Get some help. Reach out. Call somebody. You know, I'm going to say this I don't know how many times tonight, but I don't care. Because it's there. You know, it's time that we do this. It's time that we follow this. Mm-hmm. You know, there was, I went to an awards assembly the other day, and there was a trafficking lady that came on the show, and she was on stage and she was talking about human trafficking. Okay, if you don't know what that is an individual that is getting kidnapped, adult napped, teenage napped, whatever you want to call it. But they're getting picked up by somebody that they don't want to be with. Mm-hmm. They don't want to go with. And then they put them in certain predicaments. And that predicament is usually sexual.
Yeah, they usually sell them for sex.
Yes. And that is so wrong. Like, oh my God, so wrong. Like, really? Why are you going to do that shit? Yeah. But get over yourself. Okay? If you want to do that shit, you do it to yourself. Take yourself wherever you want to take everybody else and sell yourself. Mm-hmm. You know, let everybody else live. This lady was absolutely 100% one of my, what is it called? Like, guidances through life, you know, because you can look at this lady up on stage talking, you know, and you're thinking she's just, you know, putting it out there right to help somebody else, just to be doing it. But no, she went through it herself, okay? And so she got up on this big ass stage in front of hundreds of people, and she talked about being human trafficking, and had to go through all that, endure all that. Okay, she did that simply to try to save somebody else, you know, to open eyes. And if you see something like that, you know, somebody just being grabbed and put in a van, truck, car, it doesn't matter. If you think it's wrong and it doesn't look right, do something about it. Pick up a phone, call somebody. Mm-hmm. You know, 911. You know what that number is? 911.
Yeah.
You know,
be a voice.
Use it.
100% be a voice.
Be a voice. Because that's what we need. is more being a voice. I mean, even in Branson, there is people, just kids coming up missing.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely, I have never in my life ever thought that would ever happen.
Yeah.
Because you don't really hear about it. Some places you don't hear about it, but it's there. Okay, and so kind of putting it out there. If you want to know something, look it up on the city, state paper, newspapers and stuff like that, because they run it once and then it's done, it's over, but it's still there. It's in the records.
Amber is exactly right. She says, always, always be kind.
Yes.
If there was one word that could describe how you should live as a human, it is kindness.
Yes.
Kindness goes so far. You must always be kind to everybody, no matter
Yes.
what walk of life they come from.
Yeah. And, another thing that has happened to me is I go do karaoke at this certain place, certain days of the week. And there is an individual that, okay, you could look at her and you can tell that, there was something there. And although this person tried to hide that, I looked deep, and I always look deep, no matter who you are. I look in the eyes and I see yourself. And, I knew this. And although she was putting off a different vibe, I knew there was a different vibe in her that she wanted to be.
Yeah.
And maybe she just needed to be guided. But that individual has changed, and she continues to change. Okay? I think you change every day. There is nothing wrong with changing, and there is nothing wrong with making yourself better than what you are. Me, personally, I rebirth myself every birthday. I go to bed and I wake up totally like, boom, whatever I needed fixed, wanted to work on, I either started it or I didn't. And I do that every year, and I think a lot of people maybe should think about that, just because you're one certain way and you put off one certain thing, it's okay,
You should always constantly be looking to do better for yourself.
Yes.
Be better not only for yourself, but those around you.
Those around you, like my motto here is be a rainbow.
Yep.
And if you're a rainbow, help somebody else be a rainbow. Yep. And whenever I say that, that is, okay, rainbow is the most greatest thing in the world. Okay, especially with us, because it means where we come from.
Yeah.
It means that's who we are.
And the people that were here before.
The colors.
Yeah.
That the things, how does it say that? Colors mean certain things.
Yeah.
And
the
those
different
certain
characteristics
things,
of our community.
And that is for our whole community.
Yeah.
Okay, not just for gay, but it's for LGBTQ plus and everybody else. And
the alphabet mafia.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people's like, oh no, I'm gay. It's rainbow, so it's a devil thing because it's looked at as a certain way. No, you turn it upside down, and it literally means all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
That is a positive thing that people live by every day. So don't judge anybody else, because that is just crap. There is no reason for you to judge anybody unless you want that person to judge you. Okay, do not forget, if you are judging someone, that makes you the one judging. Okay, if you're abusing someone, that makes you the abuser.
Yep.
Okay, and let me tell you, I would not want either one of those titles. And any other title, for that matter, that is not a good title. Okay, so really look into yourself, look in the mirror and say, oh my God, is this who I really am? And I really hope, and I really don't give a shit, but I really hope that you're watching this, and I really hope that I check you, because that's what it's all about. And I don't care. Like, I hope I check you. I don't care who you are, how you are. I hope I check your ass. because that's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Hope you like it, because it's gonna be there.
It's not gonna change. You gonna
I ain't gonna change,
are.
honey. I ain't gonna change one freaking bit. We have some more comments. Nashville Hill Roadhouse 5 says, T-Ron! Yeah! Hey, baby. Mwah. Much love. Yes. Always, always, always be kind. Amber, Nashville Live. Ooh. Okay. Rick White
Chanel
says, scream out.
Do
Scream it out.
not cast the first stone.
Yes.
Walked a mile in their shoes.
Yes.
Sometimes ears are better than words. 100%.
Oh, yeah.
All of that
100%. And, like I said, all I needed was ears to listen. I didn't need anybody to say anything to me. I just wanted to be heard.
Yeah.
I needed to be heard. And I'm not the only one in this world that needs that. Okay.
We all need to be heard.
Everybody.
So at some point in our life,
everybody needs to be heard, no matter who you are, how you are. You need to be heard. Ain't nothing wrong with being heard. If you're being heard, maybe somebody else, you're going to help somebody else be heard too. But I have got to take a commercial break. And I will be right back after this massage. I'm not there yet, so hang on a second.
WLFE Digital Broadcast Network is on TV. You can watch all of our shows on WLFE-DB.com. Check out our channels: Paranormal View for all of your paranormal type shows, LGBTQ Friends for all of our LGBTQ shows, Variety Unlimited for all other shows. It runs 24/7 right on WLFE-DB.com. You'll even catch the lives, all in one place. Never miss an episode, past or future. WLFE-DB.com, where our shows are your shows. Search for your favorite shows like Where's My Sage, Inside the Drag Closet, Across the Pond, Everything Yet Nothing, Paratalk Radio, Step into the Paranormal, The Creepy Parlor, Just Cindy, and more. Now you won't miss an episode. Remember, follow Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Make sure you subscribe and follow your favorite WLFE-DB radio shows. You can find our shows where you listen to your favorite podcasts, like Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and more. WLFE-DB Radio is looking for podcasts to join our family. You don't have to fit any strict genre. We're a plethora of shows. If you're looking to jump on a growing network, then contact us at WLFEDBradio@gmail.com.
Wow, Amazon Music just got a whole lot better. Your favorite shows from WLFE-DB Radio can now be found there. Yes, we are on Amazon Music, found under podcasts. Download the app, find podcasts, and search all of your favorite shows. Shows like Where's My Sage, Across the Pond, Everything Yet Nothing, Skeptical Help Bar, The Creepy Parlor, Just Cindy, and much more. Now you don't have to miss an episode ever. Amazon Music is WLFE-DB Radio-fied.
More from WLFE-DB Radio Network after this.
Hey guys and dolls, this is Casey DeVille, the better half of DeVille Inc., Baltimore, Maryland. If you're ever in Baltimore, stop in and see me and Tony. Invisible Bree, 5920 Eastern Avenue, Baltimore, Maryland, 21224. Give us a call if you're in the area at 410-400-9641, or look us up on the web at DeVilleInc.com. DeVille Inc., where we specialize in you.
Oh, yeah. Life just got sweeter now that WLFE-DB has merchandise. Show your support by purchasing your t-shirts for WLFE, Paratalk Radio, Inside the Drag Closet, and more. But it doesn't stop there. T-shirts, coffee mugs, tanks, buttons, cloth bags, and more. Go to WLFE-DB.com. On the top bar, click on the merchandise tab, and bam, there you go. You got merch. Support the shows. WLFE-DB.com. You're listening to WLFE-DB Radio. Now, back to our program.
Hey, hey, hey! Welcome back to Everything Yet Nothing. I am sitting here with JoJo, aka Josiah. I just love saying his name. It's so hard.
It's like Mufasa.
Oh my god! So we're gonna end on a good note tonight, and that note is, last Saturday was, and I did a performance, and that performance was Purple Rain. Freaking phenomenal! Like, it was so much fun, and Nashville Roadhouse Live was absolutely 100% in with it, and thank you, Stevie Lee Woods, for making one of my dreams come true. I really appreciate it. You have no idea what that means to me. And, you know, whenever I was out there, that is something I've never thought would ever happen. Me on a big ass stage with like literal like stage lighting and performing an actual song, and I was just, you know, I loved it. Like, once I was up there, I felt like I was in heaven. Like, literally, all I could see is bright light.
Well, that's your happy place. Like,
yeah, I mean, it is. You know, I love karaoke. I love singing, and it takes me to my happy place. And, you know, it takes everything away. So, you know, find something that will do that same thing with you. Sit by a creek, go to the lake, go fishing, go swimming, you know.
Soak up that moon, I'm telling you.
Soak up the moon, honey, because she will help you out a lot.
Yes.
Absolutely 100%.
Dance don't be afraid to dance in the rain. If it's raining, go out there and dance in the rain. Absolutely. For the love of all things great. Be a child.
Growing up, as kids, there was me and my two brothers, and we literally, my mom, every time it almost rained, every time, she'd be all like, let's go outside. You know, we're like, why? You know, and then we finally was like, okay. You know, and literally she would take us outside and dance in the rain with us. Yeah. And let me tell you, there ain't nothing that cleans you better than to be cleansed by the water that comes from the heavens.
Mother Nature herself.
Mother Nature. Gods and goddesses. Jesus. God. It doesn't matter. It comes from whoever you follow.
Yeah.
And that's what my show's about. Is not one religion, but all religions.
Yep.
Not one following, but all followings.
Yep.
You know, except the bad ones, you know. And
it's about being human. Like, for me anyway,
being human.
Like, it feels like it's about being human, and your show just shows people how to be a kind human or just a good person and anti-shit person.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, anti-shit person. Okay, you don't want no shit. It stinks.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what kind of shit it is. It stinks. So, so I just want to say thank you so very much for tuning in, and thank you to my audience that has tuned in and given us some questions and some comments. I really appreciate that. It means a lot to me. I love this show just for the simple fact I want to reach people, and you know, I want to open eyes and change minds. A lot of people don't want to change minds, but change is life. You know. So why fight it? Just go with it. Yeah. Change. You know, good or bad, change.
Yeah.
Like,
change and change hurts. You know, it's very painful, but you're better for it at the end.
You're better for it, 100%. So please tune in to next Thursday, and thank you so very much, JoJo, for coming on my show. I really appreciate it, and I can't wait to have you back on as a return guest.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And so, if you need anything, if you need to reach out, please reach out to WLFE-DB.com or radio, or Everything Nothing, which is my page, or T. Roy L. Von Shirley, or Shirley Von. Shirley Von. I almost took my husband's name on here.
And if you need to, if for some reason someone wants to get a hold of me, T-Roy has that information, and
Absolutely.
I don't mind taking time out of my life to, be positive in your life.
Absolutely. And, if you got a topic and you got a story, let me know. Maybe you can be on here and help me open some eyes and change some minds. Peace, much love, be a rainbow, and please, please, please help somebody else be a rainbow too.
Yep.
Good night. Oh, wait a minute. I gotta do a commercial. Sorry, Teddy. That's my bowls. Okay, yeah.
Thank you for joining T-Roy and a special guest here on Everything Yet Nothing. Tune in next Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central for another episode you won't want to miss. Until next time, be a rainbow in someone's life. Like and follow us on Facebook at WLFE DB Radio.
See you later. Have a good night.